Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CPA Moms podcast. I'm Nicole, your host and the brand ambassador of CPA Moms, where we believe that real success is only meaningful if it holds up in every area of your life, what we call the four F's: financial, firm, or career, fitness, and family. Now, if one area is failing, the others won't feel like success, even if they are all thriving. Today, we are talking about something that, as women, as moms, and as business owners, often gets pushed to the bottom of the list for us: taking care of yourself, or the very popular term nowadays, self care. As entrepreneurs and leaders, it's really easy to focus on growth and results and responsibilities from the family and your kids, but while you are running on empty. But the truth is that our energy, our health, and our capacity affect every decision we make in all of those other areas. I am joined today by Del Lewis, who is an entrepreneur, an investor, and a business builder who has spent decades helping founders create strong, sustainable companies. Now, through his work, Del has seen firsthand that when business owners don't take care of themselves, it eventually shows up somewhere. Today, we're going to have an honest conversation about what it really means to care for yourself as a business owner. Del, we are old pals, and I'm so excited to be here with you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Yes. Can you give us just a little bit of background, share a little about your entrepreneurial journey and how you have, I guess, grown along the way?
Mm, mm. Well, for I think I might have been born as an entrepreneur. I think I might have come out of the womb with a clipboard or a typewriter or something. I don't know, but I'm a serial entrepreneur. Love it. I believe that entrepreneurship makes the world go round. So anytime I have a chance to talk with other entrepreneurs, I'm always excited. And anything I can do to add to the entrepreneurial community is something that I'm totally excited about. So I'm happy to be here with your audience of CPA moms, the women that help all of us entrepreneurs do what we do in so many different ways. And so it's exciting to do that. Yeah, I think as it relates to the topic that you want to talk about today, I'm not so sure that I always had that realization, right? That taking care of yourself was so important. And even when I thought I might have been taking care of myself, I may not have been taking care of myself. And I'll kind of explain that with just a real quick story. One of the first businesses that I bought was a restaurant. My brother is a chef. He wanted to start a restaurant. He had me come in because I knew a little bit about business. We were in our 20s at the time, so I didn't know a whole lot about business, but I thought I did. Um, we bought this restaurant, and this is in Washington, D.C., and it was about 5 miles away from where I lived. And I would, work until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd drive home, and I'd get up at like 6 o'clock that same morning, right? So I could get the deposit over to the bank. But I decided from a fitness standpoint that I'd ride my bike over to the bank. So with just 4 hours of sleep, I'd get up, ride 10 miles round trip to make this deposit, and then I would come back, take a shower, and then be back in the restaurant again. Thought I was being healthy until all of a sudden, it was like, again, as a 24-year-old kid, I kind of crashed, right? I'm like, this is not working. So we can sometimes think we're taking care of ourselves and based upon popular wisdom, but it's not always the case. The most important lesson I learned in that was to listen to your body because your body is going to tell you without a doubt. It is the smartest thing that you own, and it's going to tell you what you should be doing and how you should be doing it.
Yes, that is so true. And I mean, you said like you don't think you started there. I don't think any one of us start anywhere. Like, just life is a journey, right? And we're just always constantly learning. And if I had truly known as much as I thought I knew in my 20s, like I would be in a completely different life space in my life right now. So.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Definitely a journey we go through to learn all of those things.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing is that we we tend to think that other things are more important to get us to where we want to go. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I can neglect that part of me. I can neglect that want, that desire. I can, not pay attention to that body message because these other things are so much more important to getting me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd like to call kind of a human fallacy, right? It's something that we stereotypically all ingrained with, and it's just not true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think too, some of it is immediate versus long term, right? Like when you're young, it's like your body just goes with things and you don't fully understand the long term
Yes.
impact you're having. Whereas, like if you don't go to work and push yourself, then you aren't going to have money in your pocket. That's very immediate.
Right. Yes, exactly. And the invincibility factor. I don't know about you, or if it's just a male thing, or if it's just with me, but when my 20s, I was invincible, right? And nothing was going to slow me down.
100%. Yes. No, I don't. That's not a male thing for sure. I definitely
Okay.
have
Yeah.
that.
Awesome.
So, in your experience, and I mean, you had some of these, but what are the early warning signs that an entrepreneur is maybe neglecting their health while focusing on everything else?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think one of the early warning signs on the one hand is so obvious, and on the other hand, it gets masked.
Hmm.
And one of the earliest warning signs is you're not as good at what you do as you could be or can be. And it becomes rather obvious to others, and it may become obvious in terms of your results, but it kind of gets masked for us. We don't tend to think about it. And I say that to say because when you can flip that around and look at it a slightly different way, it's super, super powerful. And what I mean by that is that when you can flip that around and realize that taking care of yourself is actually a part of your job, right? Or it's actually a part of your career or your business, it is as important as any other thing that you do in your business. So when I started to treat my fitness and my health as a part of my job, career, entrepreneurial responsibility, and I started to do that, then I started to realize I'm actually even better than I was before. I'm sharper in meetings. I have more creativity. I have more ingenuity. All of those things started to bubble up. And then it was just like, oh, wow, I'm on to something here. I think I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean you've seen it in yourself. Have you seen or have an example of, other businesses that you work with where they have improved simply because the owner took better care of themselves?
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt. And they all come back, the entrepreneurs all come back with that same revelation, which in some form or fashion is, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do this before. Right?
Yeah.
Why didn't
Yeah.
I do this before? But I think in our society, especially our Western American society, we're so much into this. One aspect of it is we're so much into this, like everybody does it on their own. Nobody needs any help, right? So that's one aspect of it. And the other aspect is that you know, we don't need to think about those things, and we're always kind of on the top of our game. And the things that I'm supposed to be doing are the things like my books and my sales calls and my all my marketing thing and my team building and all that sort of stuff. We forget to factor in the things that we need to do for ourselves.
Yeah.
But to your question and your point is that when I've started to coach entrepreneurs about that, and they've started to now look at their health and their fitness as part of their business, they just come back and they go, oh my gosh, everything's better, right? I feel better, I'm working better, I'm smarter, and the business is going better as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we're mainly focusing right now on health and how it's impacting, uh, like firm or career. But I think we could do the same thing for family, right? And how, like, what have you seen and how that can impact you and your family?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and that it comes in a number of different ways depending upon who you are and what you've got going on. Um, but I'll just give you one that might seem a little nuanced, right? When you're on the top of your game and you are actually being the best that you can be, which is the way you are when you're more healthy, you find you get more done in the same period of time. And when you're able to get more done in the same period of time, you're actually also able to get what you need to get done in less time. And when you can get what you need to get done in less time, you have more time for other things like your family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So,
Yeah, and one thing that I like has kind of hit me recently as I've gotten into my 40s and still have young kids and trying to keep up with them who have never-ending energy is, the example that I'm setting for them. And
mhm,
one way to show them, like, because I am very, I guess, particular, to put it nicely, on like the food that they're putting into their body and how they treat their body. And so it is helpful that I can, kind of teach them that by showing them, look, this is how I take care of my body. And now at this age, like I am still able to run around and keep up with you because of the long-term effect. Because I think that's the hardest thing to get across to people is the long-term effect of it. Like there is no immediate, again, gain from it.
right, right. Yeah, and that's another part of our society, right? We are instantaneous people in this society, right? We
Yes.
want it now, or better yet, yesterday. Um,
Right.
and when we start to talk about things that are longer term or have that longevity to them, they sort of go in one ear and out the other. Um,
Yeah.
Now, I will say, because I am no longer in my 40s, and it's been a while since I've been in my 40s, I will say that those things tend to become tend to become stronger for you the older you get. And I think that's just natural human nature, right?
Yeah.
You sort of get to a point in time when you're like, yeah, this doesn't go on forever. We all know this doesn't go on forever, right? And you get to a point and you're like, okay, so what am I doing and why am I doing it and what am I getting out of it? And what I think opportunistically and optimistically is that that's a tremendous opportunity for those of us that are a little further along to tell the ones that are younger and to do
Mhm.
it in such a way so that they get it and understand it, right? So
Yeah.
if any of your moms out there, your CPA moms out there are in their 20s, 30s, or early 40s, I really would want you to pay heed to what I'm saying because if you can apply it now, and you know this from being financial people, the dividends are going to compound, right? And what you're going to be able to do for yourself is going to skyrocket in the end.
Right. Yeah. Good. Now let's flip it to financial and connect it to that. Is there a connection that you see between health and taking care of yourself and then the financial side of things?
Yeah, well, I have a sort of a saying that I used to say in some of my presentations and speeches and whatnot, and it was, better body, bigger business, bigger bank account. Um, and so to me, that's just a one-to-one parallel, apples to apples. The better you are from a fitness standpoint, the better your numbers are going to be when you're looking at them on the paper, and the better your bank statement's going to look when it arrives every month. And it's because you're sharper, right? You're sharper, you're more on point, and when you're the best you can be, to me, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, for sure. So this we've kind of hinted on it and talked about it, but not really named it. So
Mhm.
we live in a hustle culture, if
Yeah.
you will.
Mhm.
And my background is corporate accounting. It was definitely a real thing there. And I think that a lot of women start their business to get away from that, but then they don't realize that they just bring it with them. And I can tell you, after working with a lot of entrepreneurs, I think it's even more a thing in the entrepreneurial world. Why
Yes.
do you think that is so deeply ingrained in entrepreneurs?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think it really goes back to our culture, right? And what we tend to do in our culture is glamorize that hard work, right? And we glamorize that 24/7 type thing, right? We watch movies, we read books about these men and women that do nothing but work all the time, right? And what we oftentimes fail to do is look at their complete lives, and sometimes their complete lives are in shambles, right? I mean, they're working all this time and they're getting success in certain areas, but they're not getting success in all these other areas, which is why I think your four Fs is so fantastic, using a fifth F. When you combine all those things, right? Because it's that
Right.
balance, right? And they don't have to be 25% all the way across the board, but you do have to
Exactly.
maintain a balance, right? And it can't
Yeah.
be 90-10, right?
Right.
So, yeah, but I think it's what our culture has glamorized in the past. And so we think we're not successful if we're not doing that. You know, I remember when I was, in the banking world, doing investment banking, and it was amazing. You would have some people that actually sit at their desk, not actually doing anything, but they didn't want to leave until it was like acceptable to leave, which would be like
Right.
7 o'clock. They could have been finished
Yeah.
at 5, could have been home having, dinner with their spouse and their kids, but they stayed. And it's those perceptions, right?
Right.
And I
Well,
think
yeah.
successful, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that yes, like I had when I was working in corporate accounting, I had to leave to pick up my son by a certain time because the daycare would close. And so like I shifted my schedule where I would come in before everybody else and then I would leave at 4. And so
Hmm.
like I can't tell you how many times, oh, you're leaving early. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's 4. And am I not here at my desk every day when you walk in? Like not like I'm leaving
Exactly.
at like 2 or noon. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, what I'll say for entrepreneurs is I would counsel all of the entrepreneurs that are watching this to disregard that perception of others. I think that is one of the gifts of being an entrepreneur that you get is you no longer have to pay attention to what other people think.
Yes.
And oftentimes we still do. And you need to use your entrepreneurial gift of no longer having to give a bleep about what other people think.
Yes. Yeah, I think that goes back to what I was saying with my question. Like, we create our firms to get away from that hustle culture, but then we just bring it with us because we don't do that mindset shift
Yeah,
to change the way we think about it. We just
yeah,
keep looking at it the same way, and this is how it has to be done. This is the way
yeah,
everyone else is
yeah.
doing it.
Right.
But no, you can leave that behind.
Yes. And I think that leads to another major point, which is a lot of what I do and what I speak about in my business is that I don't believe, and this has been borne out from literally hundreds, if not thousands of entrepreneurs I've talked to. We don't create our businesses necessarily to clone what someone else has done. I want to create a business just like Jane Doe or Joe Blow. We typically create our businesses to lead and live a life that we want to lead and live. And that's
Right.
different for every single one of us. And
Yes.
I just counsel people, you need to pay attention and remember that, right? I didn't create a business so that it looked like, Michael Milken or, Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or Oprah Winfrey. I created a business because I want to live my life in a certain way. It may have some aspects of what they do, but I want to live my life in my certain way. And so when you get back to that, that's when you no longer have to pay attention what other people think or what your business looks like. It's like, this works for me. This is what I want. This is why I'm doing it.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's part of the journey of becoming an entrepreneur because sometimes you don't necessarily know what you want. You know what you don't want because you've been in it.
Right.
And so then you start down this path of like, what is it that I want? And so trial and error, and then you finally, start to find your way and get there. That is the
Yes.
beautiful journey of
Yes.
entrepreneurs.
Yes. And I would say never stop asking yourself that question.
Yeah.
Because when you stop asking yourself that question, you have stopped your pursuit toward that end. And then, it's like they say, if you don't have a plan for yourself, you're going to be working somebody else's plan, right? And we don't want
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and I think it takes a lot of mindset shifts. So you work with a lot of entrepreneurs. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to speed up that process, if you will, to really discover what it is you want and kind of make the journey shorter to where you can get to where you want to go?
Yeah, yeah. As crazy as it sounds, from a mindset standpoint, I think all successful entrepreneurs do two things. They do a number of things, but two things primarily. One is they talk to themselves. I think that's an important trait of an entrepreneur. You need to talk to yourself. And the other is you need to dream, right? And you need to dream, not that it's pie in the sky or unrealistic, but you need to dream because you believe those dreams can become a reality. So never stop dreaming and never stop talking to yourself about the fact that that dream can and will become a reality because that's truly the way it happens. But when we stop talking to ourselves and or dreaming, that's when we fall into sort of that rote and we just kind of do the same thing over and over again, or we get out of balance. It's that conversation that we have to have with ourselves and that aspirational conversation.
Oh, that is so good. Yes. Yes. And I think not to put us all in a box, but sometimes accountants struggle a little bit with the whole dreaming thing. From my conversations, I have found like we just have turned that off, kind of.
Hmm. Hmm.
We were told long ago what it takes to be successful in accounting, and so it's just hustle, 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 grind, 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 and we just have kind of turned that off. So
Yeah, yeah,
that is
yeah,
good.
yeah. And I don't want to completely bash hustle or completely bash effort and action,
Yeah.
because you can hustle and you can be in action in your own way. And that's really the key, right? It's like, how do I want to live? How do I want to go about doing what I want to do, right? And I know I'm going to have to do certain things. Um, but, maybe you prefer to do those things at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Or you maybe prefer to do those things at 11 o'clock at night. It doesn't necessarily have to be 9 to 5. That's when most people seem to be working, but it doesn't have to be necessarily in those hours, right?
Yeah.
And and I'm sure you and your business, you've said, okay, like you said before, I left at 4 o'clock in my corporate job to go pick up my son because daycare was ending. But I'm sure you've got things in your entrepreneurial life where you say, I'm not going to do this between the hours of 9 to 5, right? I
Yep.
know it gets done, but it's not going to happen between 9 to 5. And it's okay between 9 to 5 to go pick your son up from school and take him to go have ice cream, right? I mean, that's all part of the deal, and it's an important part
Yes.
of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, my schedule is kind of a patchwork quilt, really. Like it's just stuck in there wherever. But it's what works, and
Yes.
as long as you
Yeah.
have it all in there, then it
Yes.
fits.
Yes. Yeah, and again, because you do it that way, that doesn't make you any less of an accountant who is supposed to be kind of by the book, by the numbers, right? There's a buy a book and buy the numbers is very important in accountancy, right? Because you want to stick to GAAP, right? It's like we got to do things by certain rules, but we don't have to do everything by some rules because a lot of those rules they're false, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
So
what? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick. So the other thing that I
Mhm.
would suggest from a mindset standpoint is never be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Good. Yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So tell me, are there any non-negotiables that you believe every entrepreneur should have around their health and energy?
Mm, yeah, that's a really good question because I never say never, and I don't always like to say always. So, um, any non-negotiables? That I don't know if there are. But let me sort of turn it around and say to back to what I said a little bit earlier. What's so important is listening to your body. That's the most important thing is to listen to your body. And I guess if there's a non-negotiable, I would say is that endeavor not to ignore that,
There we
right?
go. Okay.
So
Yeah.
just say, look, you know, I can't tell you, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen probably more than a lot of other entrepreneurs where I'll be at my desk and I'll say, okay, look, it's time to stop. I need to go. I might even go lay down for 15 minutes or a half an hour, right? Which in sort of the stereotypic business world would be totally frowned upon. Like, who in the world in the middle of the day is going to go lay down, right? But I know that what I'm doing at this very moment is not really productive and it's not really working. So why do it? It makes sense for me to go lie down. Half an hour, I come back, I get back to my desk, and it's like a whole different day, right? And
Yeah.
I'm productive and I'm creative and things are happening. And I can't tell you how many times I've done that where I've said, I'm so glad I did that, right? So, make your own rules. That's your other gift as an entrepreneur, right? You get to make your own rules. Yeah. And so make them that work for you and pay heed to that.
Yeah. That is a lesson that I have learned that has been a hard one. I fought that one for a while. Like I'd be stuck in some number and like I just couldn't get it reconciled and it wasn't making sense. And
Mhm.
I am a type of person that like if I'm right there, like I just want to finish and I will
Yeah.
just push and push and push. And so taking it and just go, you know what, I need to just step away. And then you
Yeah.
step away and you come back 10, 15 minutes later, you go for a walk, whatever, just give yourself that mental break and you come back and it's like that. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
see right here, duh, I'm adding this number instead of subtracting it, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
So, but I think it's just so ingrained in us, like, no, you can't just take a break. It's not break time. So you just keep
Right.
pushing
Yep.
through. So,
Yep.
yes.
It's so true. It's so true. And so you have to fight through those, right? Because you have to assert your right as an entrepreneur to do things the way that you believe they should be done and stop thinking about what others would think if they looked at it that way. And
Yeah.
I also counsel my clients and my partners that start to treat these things really as a part of your business, right? Don't treat them as goofing off, sloughing off, slacking off. Treat them as a part of your business, right? But our perceptions are so interesting, right? It's like I might tell somebody, like, well, if you need to get something done, like, don't answer your phone for the next 3 hours, right? I don't
Yeah.
care, who texts
Yeah.
you. You can take a look at text, make sure it's not one of your kids and it's an emergency. That's fine. But, turn off your phones. And people like look at me like, oh my God, I could never do that. And I said, okay, you live in California. Have you ever flown across country to New York? Yeah, I do that all the time. Well, in those 5 hours that you're flying across country, right? It's a little bit different now because we can use our phones. But 10 years ago, you had no communication, right? That was 5 hours that you were gone. You would never question that to say, "Oh, I can't fly because it's in the middle of the business day, and that'd be 5 hours when I can't talk to somebody." So it's like we have all these misconceptions and all these fallacies, right? But if you can
Yeah.
start to turn them around and say, I am turning my phone off for 5 hours. I'm not going to look at email for 5 hours. I'm going to get this project done. And I'm treating it as being no different than flying cross country. Because if I was flying cross country, I wouldn't be able to do those things. It's
Yes.
again, entrepreneurs talk to themselves. They have to talk to themselves, and you've got to tell yourself the truth.
There you go. Yes. That makes having focus time makes a big difference. And, having that focus time to take care of your body also is no different. Like it's just as
Yeah,
important.
it's a part of your job. It
Yeah.
really is, a
Yeah, I
part of
love
your job.
that. The
Yeah,
way you said that. Just
yeah,
it's part of your business. You have
yeah,
to do it.
yeah. So, just a little personal about me. So I structure my day so that I'm really most times I'm at my desk at around 9 a.m., 9 a.m. local time. And I tell people that if I just say that off the cuff, they kind of look at me and kind of like, oh, well, you're kind of, maybe you're a little bit of a slacker, right? Other entrepreneurs are doing this, that, and the other thing. What I don't tell them is that I typically get up after a good night's sleep, but I typically get up around 5:30, right?
Mhm.
But I have things that I do between 5:30 and 9 a.m. that are
Yep.
just as important to the success of my business as the
Yep.
things that I do from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And that's the way I got to that program and to be able to do that by telling myself that these are just as important to the success of your business as the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to, at the end of each episode, just leave everyone with one little shift they can make. If they are feeling exhausted or just stuck, what is one little shift they can make that over time will compound and make a difference?
Yeah, and so instead of giving a specific shift, because I think it would be different for everybody to a great degree, what I
Yep.
want to suggest is I'd like everybody to think of one thing that is fitness related that they are going to do. And I would counsel and suggest that they do that really starting tomorrow. What's one thing as it relates to my fitness, my health, and my well being and my longevity that I'm going to do, not do, change, or do differently starting tomorrow? And I'm here to tell you, you just have to take my word for it. But when you start to add these up and start to compound those little shifts, you're going to have some miraculous changes, not only in your business, but in your life altogether. Yep.
Good. That was good. I like it. All right, Del. Well, thank you so much for being here. It has been so fun. Where can listeners learn more about you and your work?
Yeah, I probably would direct people directly to my YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com and then the at sign and the number four and Del Lewis, and that's DELLEWIS. So,
Great. And we will put that in the show notes so they can
okay,
find.
awesome, awesome. Yeah. But the whole channel is really dedicated to this idea of building a business around your ideal lifestyle. And that's a lot of the work that I'm doing with my clients and my partners at this point. Is like, who are you? What are you? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be, do, or have? Now let's create a business that supports that. I like to say that it fits and funds your ideal lifestyle.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you.
My pleasure. It's great to be here. I'm so glad you have this podcast because I think it's so valuable to your clientele, to people in general, but certainly to CPA moms who, once again, I will say, do a service for us entrepreneurs that is invaluable. So I thank all of you for doing that.
Thanks. All right. Well, that is it for today's episode. At CPA Moms, we believe that women can have a successful career and raise a happy family. If you are ready to embrace work-life harmony and connect with like-hearted women, then join our Facebook community. Just click the link in the show notes or search CPA Moms on Facebook. We can't wait to welcome you. Until next time, thank you for being here. We see you, we believe in you, and we can't wait to grow with you.